What was it that French Montana said? Don't block your blessing. We don't want to say the first part because it's YouTube. But I think we're at a point where a lot of us need to start letting go of the rhetoric we hear online and just sort of adopt. It'll make sense in a sec. Let's go.
Hey, I'm trying to figure out when did some men, I'm gonna say some, become sassy. And what I mean by sassy is when did it become uncommon for men to ask women for their number?
All right, so let's pay attention. Right? We're in class in session. Sassy equals not asking for the number. All right, let's let X equal sassy.
What happened to courting women? What happened to stuff like that? I don't know what's going on, baby. What's wrong? So I'm sitting up here.
For the record, and I don't like stopping the video too many times, but for the record, courting still happens. It still happens. I think we have adopted and thought because it happens to her, it should happen to me. Because it happens to him, it should happen to me. And that's just not how life is.
I was talking to this dude. Just give a little context. I was talking to this dude, right? We talking, we vibing and everything. I'm talking to him on social media. After talking for about maybe about 5 days, he hits me up and was like, "Hey, you want to take this conversation off social media? Would you like my number?" And me being a bad bitch, I'm sitting.
Define define bad bitch. Because the thing I have in my head is probably what to be fair, what you have in your head too. Don't look at me. Don't look at me like that. I just know what I define as a the bad bitch. Let's continue.
Sitting up here thinking to myself, like, did he just ask me if I wanted his number? No, I'm trying to figure out, when did we switch roles here? Because I feel like you should have been asking me for my number.
So look, this is it, right? This is what we were leading up to. This is semantics, right? This is 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 plus 0 also equals 2. So we're still there. The goal was to be at 2. The goal was to exchange numbers. The fact that he said, "Would you like my number?" Like, if you're interpreting that as sassy, right? You're in line for getting the thing that you want. You're moving forward. You're talking to this guy for 5 days. There's some interest. He's like, all right, let's take this offline. Let's go over here. We've talked long enough to make sure you're comfortable. Let's take it over here. Would you like my number? That to me, that reads as being polite. That reads as being polite, rather than being presumptuous and saying, "Hey, let me get your number." You may not be in that space. You may not even feel like you're like safe enough to do that. So let me throw it out to you. Take my number. When you're comfortable, you can reach out. That's all it means. I'm just giving you say, when you're comfortable, reach out, then I will keep things going. This is in fact him still leading the conversation, taking it from here to there. But because you didn't like the way he went about it, this is why he's now sassy. This is why it's an uproar. Let's continue.
If you really want to talk to me, you should be asking me for my number. Because as a woman, being in what I feel like is a woman's place, I feel like me talking to a man, if you initiated the talk and you sought me out and you did this, that, and the third, why is it so difficult for you to ask me for my number? So I told him no, I didn't want his number, but I sent him over mine, and I told him, I was like, you can go ahead and hook up with me or whatever.
You just told him no, and then you're still saying, but we can still continue because you didn't like this one particular way it was phrased. So you are interested. I think that's fair for everyone to say, right? That's fair. There is interest, but you are now at this point where you just because you didn't like how this proceeded, you want to flip the script and hit pause and say, no, this is how you should do it. You want a man to chase. You want a man to court. He's doing that. You don't like a specific particular way it happens. So you risk blowing the whole thing up. And again, if you have 5, 6, 7 top choice guys in your DMs, in your phone, well, in your DMs or in on whatever whatever app you use, because you got to ask the right way to get the phone number. whatever. You've got that availability. It's possible. Then sure. Now it's time to be picky. There's a place for being picky. I've got all these options. I can be picky. It's fair. That's fair.
Because it was never about the fact that I didn't want to talk to him. It was never that. It was just I was taken back by the fact that a man is asking a woman if she wants his number. That's weird to me. So he messages me back and was like, "No, I'm good."
Good on you. Good on you. Absolutely good on you.
So let me get this straight. You wouldn't accept my number. And it wasn't like I told you, like, no, I don't want to talk to you because you didn't ask me for my number or anything like that. I didn't make it that much of a big deal. But I did want you to know, like, I thought that was kind of weird, which is why I sent you over my number.
But I think there was a moment there. I think there was a brief moment in space time, a crack in the continuity where she may have realized what she said didn't make any sense right there. Because he didn't like the way he received your number and you didn't like the way you received his number. You said no, he said no. There should have been that equilibrium that I get why he said no.
Yes, I somehow insulted him because of that. Mind you, this is also like the 5th guy in the past 3 days that has asked me if I wanted his number.
Again, maybe this is just a PSA, but a lot of times when we do that, because we know in the past, and we've all been there, I've been guilty of that. You think everything is going well with a woman and she's just being polite. She is literally just trying to be safe. I'm entertaining this because you, me, have misinterpreted some signs and you think this is interest. I'm being polite. So, in lieu of that, now getting a number and then getting ghosted or getting the wrong number, now is just say, hey, take my number down. That way, whenever you feel free or not, you don't have to feel any pressure, me reaching out and me pestering you, or you gave out your number to some stranger. This way, you get to just be like, oh, okay, I really wasn't that interested, but I was a little bit afraid to do anything else. This is a safety thing that we picked up from you. We heard what you were saying, what you were fearful of, and we just listened. That this is what it is. You're saying, this is guy number 5 or guy number 6. I forget her math. Guy number 6 that has done the same thing. And you're looking and thinking, there must be a problem with all of them, rather than saying, maybe I'm looking at this a little wrong. That is the quintessential issue I think we face today in terms of not understanding our place in this delusional sort of scale. There's no way the problem can lie with me. There's no way it can ever be my fault. That is where we all fall off the train. One of the things that I always ask or always think to myself, is there a possibility that I'm wrong? When someone is coming and telling me something and it's counter to what I believe, counter to what I think, is there a possibility that I am wrong? I think that's a very fair stance to take. When we listen, when we hear it, and we say, okay, there may be some gems in there, or hey, I'm actually way off base here. This is a good time for me to learn, to grow. That's how I really should be taking a lot of it. Guys, let me know what you think. If I'm off base, let me know. If how you give out your number, how you don't give out your number. Do you take the Snapchat? I'm too old for Snapchat. That's all I'm saying. Let me know.